Gillespie. I'm the global co-head of innovation at the law firm of Eversheds Sutherland. And I'm here today to talk about the who, how, and what of our innovation function. We're a law firm that's been known for innovation for some time, but didn't have a formalized function, and we changed that last year. I came to the firm to work on that with my global co-head to develop the strategy and start the machine. So I'm going to provide who's involved in that, how we operate, and two concrete examples of what we're working on. Before I do that, however, or I guess as part of it, as part of the who, that includes me, and I would always 100% rather talk about my work, but I'm going to provide a brief story about myself because David said that I have to. So bear with me as I provide a little bit of background, and then I'll go into the how and the what. So this is a grade school project of mine. I'll read it to you because it's a little fuzzy. It says, "Hi, I am Anusha Hirsch, my maiden name. I would like to be a lawyer when I grow up. My aunt is a lawyer, and my dad can be a lawyer if he wants to. They are going to help me be a lawyer. I can't wait to go into court and solve the case." So I was a little confused on the details. It's not a detective, it's a lawyer. Apparently had a real affinity for gavels, but I think that this shows how long I've been dedicated to the legal profession and kind of what I've seen and wanting to be a lawyer. This changed, however, in my first law firm experience. I worked at a really successful litigation boutique, and I was sitting in my cube one day. This is my first law firm, and the HR manager came back to me, and she said, "Have you seen Maria? She left for lunch, she didn't come back." And I hadn't seen her, and the next day still hadn't seen her, and what was worrisome was that her desk looked like this. All of her shoes were still under there. It was like she had just gotten up and left, and didn't come back, didn't tell anyone what was going on. And so people were starting to get concerned. Was she abducted? Is she okay? And Maria was the accountant, and her house of cards had fallen down. She had embezzled over $1 million, and she got away with it. And so this had a really big impression on me, and all of a sudden my focus on law and being a lawyer shifted into the business of law and how these really successful, really smart, driven lawyers, how did this happen in their firm? So I switched my major to legal studies and business. I then pursued my JD MBA. I practiced commercial real estate finance. I jumped to the business of law as fast as I could, and most recently worked at Harvard Law School Executive Education, designing business of law programs for lawyers from around the world. And now I'm the Director of Innovation at Eversheds Sutherland, doing what I've always wanted to do in changing and improving the business of law. We're just calling it something a little different now. We're calling it innovation. Same focus, different word, because of the pace of change. Everything is moving so quickly, but not just the pace of change, but the change in people's mindsets. People are open now, people are listening. We have new software capabilities. We have the tools in place to actually get this moving. And what's been really fun for me, in David's first slide, he had the attendance at Solid over the years and how it's just multiplying. I think a lot of that is people like me who have been in this subculture of law for a long time, kind of under the radar, swapping war stories, and now all of a sudden we get to be above board, talking about innovation, making real changes with the budget there, and making it happen. So I think it's a really exciting time to be in this field, and I just feel fortunate that this all evolved with the right timing. So that's just me. I'm just one part of the innovation machine at Eversheds Sutherland. And how we're operating, we have about, my global co-heads in London, we have about 30 full-time employees moving this machine. And how we're operating is based on this framework. We have multiple idea channels. If it comes through a client, it goes right into our research and development pipeline. If it comes internally, we're going to do some vetting and make sure that it aligns with our strategic priorities. And the way that we're thinking about it is, the market kind of collapsed innovation to innovation is legal technology, innovation is legal operations, and I think all of those things are great. But that's solution-based and solution-oriented instead of stepping back and saying, okay, what are the areas of innovation in law that we want to focus on that we think strategically align with our strengths as a firm and for our clients. And those areas for us are around data, business models, and thought leadership. So to Alexia's point earlier in creating business models around industry, we're doing that, and our first play on that is for cannabis. So that's one thing in our R&D pipeline now, is instead of coming up with a new cannabis practice group, shops open, instead saying, no, what's the industry and how are we developing the business model to best serve clients in that way? What's the ancillary service for those clients? And then bringing in lawyers into that funnel instead of trying to right the ship on a practice group. So that's where we're starting. And I will provide 2 concrete examples of these things. So the way that we are organized is by function. So we have, of course, the table stakes of legal technology specialists, and we have legal operations people, we have data scientists, we have innovation managers, and then when we don't have that expertise internally, of course, we try and find the best people to work with externally to develop proof of concept, to then figure out, okay, do we now need to bring this expertise in-house? So our first investment as a firm, oh, this countdown is going quickly, uh-oh. All right, a global platform to crowdsource ideas, idea drop. We have a global idea platform for our 5,000 employees. This was a culture play. This is important to us, and we want to get ideas coming up. And so we I will admit, it took a little bit of persuasion for an uptake for lawyers to get a new social platform, an app, and share ideas. We allow cloaking so they can do so secretly. That helped. But we now have this fantastic platform with a collision of ideas from Germany and the US and people just iterating on them, and it's really been an exciting culture piece. One example on the data piece that I'm really proud of, our tax group has a taxpayer scoreboard, and they had a manual process of going through and tracking tax decisions nationally. To then create their own predictive analytics and say, you know what, client, you should really litigate or put in your contract that you should be in jurisdiction X instead of jurisdiction Y because it's more favorable to taxpayer on that certain issue. And the logic that they used to track those cases was their own, this is the most persuasive. And the problem with that was that it was all manual. And so we needed to move beyond that because they can't capture the whole world of cases and data. So we partnered with Fastcase and came up with the AI-powered taxpayer scoreboard, where we're teaching the logic that the tax group had used. And the win on this, innovation built for clients, is that this improves our legal advice that we're then able to offer to clients. So we're really excited about it. And I'm out of time, but that's innovation built for clients and how we're powering the machine. And there's a lot more to come. Thank you.